Representative Paulina Luna just made some crazy claims with regards to everything pretty much extraterrestrial on the news, right? And it all comes after the government shutdown over in America. Of course, everything's kind of closed down over in America. It's caused a lot of disruption. And whilst answering questions on that, Representative Luna also dropped some pretty big hints into the extraterrestrial space, right? So she basically goes on to talk about how extraterrestrials aren't just like some crazy conspiracy theory, because obviously there's this whole stigma. If you mention aliens, UFOs, and all the rest of it, you're wearing a tinfoil hat, you're out there looking for shooting stars and UFOs and, you know, abductions and probes and all the rest of it. But that may not necessarily be the case, and she kind of highlighted that quite well within this recent interview. She went on to talk about the UAP disclosure efforts, which of course was the main topic, and she has been at the head of that with Congress, with Tim Burchett and, you know, a lot of other people with regards to this topic. And then she also goes on to talk about, obviously, 3-Eye Atlas, which of course has become one of the biggest talking points in the UFO space and also in cosmology, because you've got Dr. Avi Loeb, who's saying something along the lines of, well, I've got a theory that this might not necessarily be like just natural, and there's some other things to kind of back that. And then there's obviously stock trading bans that they talk about and stuff like this. Let's take a little look at the episode or the interview, because it is quite compelling. It is quite interesting to listen to. And whenever Paulina Luna talks, 9 times out of 10, your ears prick up and you tend to listen. Take a little look.
Now for more Florida Congresswoman Paulina Luna. It's been a busy day, Congresswoman. Good to see you. At this point,
nice to see you too.
Who are these people who are still blocking the truth from the public?
Well, to our knowledge, it is definitely members of the intelligence community, and then also too, we were recently denied access out of the Department of War, stating that we didn't have access and the proper, I guess, need-to-know authorities to look at some of the classified footage that is out there. As you saw in that clip that you just showed, there's actually some footage that was dead dropped to Eric Burleson, of which he then provided it to the task force. And so all I have to say...
So the one that she's referring to there, of course, is the Hellfire missile video, which has gone and been spoken about a hell of a lot. We won't touch too much on it because it's a well-trodden ground at this point.
Look, in the interest of national security and national defense, obviously this is something that we should question and look to find answers for, but also it also signifies a massive problem when you have elements within our own government that are denying access to Congress. And this is not just a bipartisan effort, this is bicameral, meaning the House and the Senate are both supporting this, both Democrats and Republicans. This is probably one of the few things that is bipartisan. And actually this week, I think it's going to be on this upcoming week on the 17th. There's going to be a movie coming out called The Age of Disclosure, of which Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in there talking about this exact topic, and I think everyone should watch it.
Let me ask you about that, and I will. You're on the record talking about, quote, non-human life forms that could be interdimensional beings who are visiting us. Can you just explain more to people at home what that might mean?
Now, those, of course, aren't just unfounded claims. I know I keep stopping it. I'm sorry. It's just to provide a bit of context for those that might not have been keeping up with everything. Those claims are obviously coming from David Grush, who is under Eric Burleson right now within the UAP task force and serving in Congress, David Grush is, as a UAP advisor to Eric Burleson, who is at the kind of the figurehead of these things alongside Representative Luna and Tim Burchett. So a little bit of context.
Yeah, so that's definitely a mouthful, but that is directly based on information that we've received from witnesses, also information that we have obtained and witnessed via our investigations. There's some stuff that I can't disclose of what I have immediately seen in some of these skiffs, but what I will tell you is this is not just some crazy conspiracy theory. Obviously, there's been massive reporting, not just in the United States, but around the world. And this is something that I think everyone kind of, has always had some curiosity about. We're just simply asking the questions now publicly.
And it feels like...
Again, I'm sorry for pausing it again, but just to provide context, when she says from around the world, obviously she's referring to Russia there in particular, because they've just done an information swap, essentially. And, that she's been speaking to a lot of people within the Russian government and essentially what these guys are doing, and they've done a bit of an info swap. Allegedly. That's kind of what we're led to believe anyway.
Like we're building towards some sort of disclosure. I know many people are hoping that Donald Trump is president and that he's ultimately the person that allows that to happen. We just had the acting NASA administrator and transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, on this show moments ago. And I asked him about this, what they're calling a comet, 3I Atlas. Take a listen to his response.
The experts at NASA have said this is a comet. It walks like a comet, talks like a comet, struts like a comet. It's a comet. I know some people have said, listen, there's alien life on here, or that at one point they said it was going to hit the Earth. Not true. But it is a fascinating comet.
There's no conspiracy.
You mentioned Kim Kardashian, so I wanted to clarify that. No, there's no conspiracy theory.
You did. All right. So, Congresswoman, NASA has yet to release the photos. They're releasing other photos every day. They blame the shutdown. They've yet to release the photos. Do you buy that from Sean Duffy?
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with NASA because I was helping Avi Loeb, who's actually a Harvard astrophysicist who's been looking into this for some time.
Right.
And remember, this is going to be one of many objects that we're going to be getting through that are interstellar because of the technology that we have now. So there are some anomalies about the comet, like, for example, it lost its tail, which is pretty much one of the first that we've ever seen. But I do believe that it's a passing through comet. And so I don't think that we are going to have any contact with any non-human intelligence yet. But the ruling's still out there on what this is, yeah.
Okay. I just want to ask you about some legislation that you've been a part of to prevent basically another Nancy Pelosi from ever happening again. It would ban congressional stock trading. Yep. Why isn't there, two questions, I guess. Why hasn't this already happened? And why is there not massive bipartisan support for something that makes so much sense?
Well, there's massive bipartisan support from the American people, but as you're saying...
We'll stop there because obviously then go on to talk about trading and stuff like that, not necessarily within the context of the UFO stuff that we're interested in, right? So, obviously there, she gives some little tidbits. Obviously, 3I Atlas, she talks about Avi Loeb, who has been at the forefront of saying... I don't believe that this is necessarily a comet at one point, or there's indicators to state that this may not necessarily just be acting as a comet. Obviously, this is one of the few interdimensional comets that we've actually witnessed. I mean, the 3 literally stands for the third one that we've seen. So, it's not acting as a typical comet would, which is why there was so much spark and interest around it, right? So... obviously, now that we've got far greater technology, this might become part of the norm. Oh, yeah, we've got another intergalactic comet passing by. Obviously, this one was quite huge as well because everyone was saying that, it's going to hit the world, then it wasn't going to hit the world, and then it was going to hit Mars, and then it was going to hit this, that, and the other. And it's now, essentially, it's just cruising through. It's just passing by, and it might give us a little wave on the way through. If it does, then obviously we'll cover that. But, yeah... very interesting stuff. She kind of goes over and reiterates a lot of the points that she makes, but of course she talks about a lot of the things that she has seen in the skiff, which is really interesting because this, I'm curious about what she has seen and what Eric Davis has seen and what Eric Burleson has seen and what Tim Burchett's seen, right? Because obviously we know that Grush was held up like at gunpoint on his way into the skiff. What was that all about, Hopefully we get some more details on all of this. What do you guys think about Representative Luna's latest interview? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.